Funny thing about life, people love to talk about beginnings, the fresh start, the new chapter, that moment when you take your first step towards something greater. Oh, they cheer for you then, they clap, they smile, they say, "You got this." But then the road stretches longer than expected. The steps get heavier, the lights start dimming, and suddenly, those same voices, they get quieter. Some disappear completely. Others start whispering, maybe this isn't for you, maybe it's time to turn back. You ever notice how people love noise? They need it, crave it. The chatter, the music, the notifications, the constant hum of voices telling them what to do, where to go, who to be. Noise makes them feel safe, like they're not alone, like they're in control. But then, then comes the silence. The kind that creeps in when the crowd is gone. When the music stops, when the calls go unanswered, and suddenly, all that confidence, all that certainty, poof, just a bad joke with no punchline. Silence makes people itchy. It makes them nervous. It makes them second guess everything they thought they knew. You ever see someone pacing the room, checking their phone every 5 seconds? Not because they're expecting anything, no, but because the quiet is pressing down on them and they hate it. The absence of noise makes them uncomfortable. Because without it, they have to sit with their own thoughts, their own doubts, their own fears. And that's terrifying. See, when you start something new, people love to make noise for you. They cheer, they clap, they tell you how brave you are. It's all so exciting, isn't it? And if you fall flat on your face right away, well, that's a story too. They'll talk about it, point fingers, maybe even laugh a little. But when you're in the middle of something, when the dust has settled and the excitement has worn off and you're just trudging forward, step by painful step, that's when the silence sets in. And that's when the real test begins. You see, the silence, it isn't a punishment. No one's out to get you. No great cosmic joke being played at your expense. It's just part of the deal. Because if you need noise, if you need applause, validation, constant reminders that you're doing fine, then you're not strong enough yet. Not ready. The silence is there to see who keeps going when no one's watching, who still believes when there's no proof, who stays standing when there's no one left to lean on. That's what separates the ones who make it from the ones who don't. Because most people crack under silence. They mistake it for abandonment. They take the lack of immediate results as a sign they were wrong. And so they quit. They turn back. They go running toward the nearest noise they can find just to feel safe again. But the ones who make it, they don't need noise. They don't need proof. They don't need someone holding their hand, whispering, "You're doing great, keep going." No. They just know. And that's the trick, isn't it? To be the kind of person who doesn't flinch when it gets quiet. To be the kind of person who keeps walking, keeps pushing, keeps moving forward, even when there's no voice telling them they're on the right track. Because here's the thing about silence. It doesn't last forever. But what you do with it, that decides everything. People think pain is the worst thing that can happen to them. Oh, no. Pain is just the opening act. It's loud, it's messy, it grabs your attention. Sure, I get it. But pain isn't the real trick. The real trick is what happens after the pain. When the screaming stops, the dust settles, and you're left standing there, looking around at the wreckage, wondering if you're supposed to pick up the pieces or just walk away. That's the real test. That's when you find out what you're really made of. See, people have this funny little habit. When life hits them hard, when things don't go the way they planned, they start asking the big questions. Why me? What did I do to deserve this? Where's my reward for all the good I've done? Oh, they love that last one. They think life operates on some kind of points system. You do a good deed, you get a gold star. You pray enough, work hard enough, suffer long enough, and poof, your prize magically appears. But that's not how the game works, is it? No, life doesn't play fair. It doesn't hand out trophies for effort. And that's where most people lose it. That's when they start thinking maybe they've been abandoned, maybe they've been forgotten, maybe all those promises of something better were just lies. And that's when they make the worst mistake of all. They stop. They give up. They trade in everything they could have been for something safe, something easy, something that doesn't make them feel like they're clawing their way through glass just to keep breathing. But see, that's exactly why some people make it and some don't. Because the ones who make it, they understand something. They know the silence isn't empty. The waiting isn't pointless. The suffering isn't for nothing. No. This is the process, the breaking down before the building up, the tearing apart before the masterpiece. And most people, they don't have the stomach for it. They think if something is meant for them, it should just happen. But the ones who get through, the ones who survive the fire, they don't get there by accident. Because here's the part no one likes to talk about. If something big is coming, if something truly great is waiting on the other side, you think it's just going to show up wrapped in a pretty little bow? No. It has to be earned. It has to be proven. And how do you prove it? How do you prove you're ready for something greater? You survive the in-between. You keep going when there's no map, no guide, no sign that you're even moving in the right direction. You keep going when every part of you is screaming to quit. That's where the real difference is made. That's when people show their true colors. Because anyone can dream when it's easy. Anyone can have faith when the road is clear. But when the fog rolls in, when the answers don't come, when the whole world is whispering, give it up, it's over, what do you do then? Because if you stop there, if you walk away just because it got hard, well, then maybe you never really wanted it in the first place. Maybe you were just in love with the idea of winning, not the cost of it. Because the cost is high, it always is. And most people, when they finally see what it takes, they decide it's too much. But the ones who don't turn back, the ones who keep moving even when they don't know where they're going, those are the ones who get the reward. Those are the ones who make it. People walk around thinking they know how the world works, like they've got it all figured out, like life is some neat little puzzle they just have to put together the right way and boom, happiness, success, peace, the whole perfect picture. But let me tell you something, that picture, it's a lie. A beautiful, shimmering illusion designed to keep you playing by the rules. But who made those rules? And why do people follow them so blindly, even when they're walking straight into their own destruction? That's the real joke. You see, people love to pretend they're in control. They set their little goals, map out their little plans, and convince themselves that if they just work hard enough, stay patient enough, suffer long enough, everything will fall into place. But what happens when it doesn't? What happens when they've done everything right, followed every step, obeyed every command, and life still kicks them in the teeth? That's when they start to crack. That's when the panic sets in. because they don't understand what's really going on. The truth is, the ones who suffer the most, the ones who seem to carry the heaviest burdens, face the hardest battles, live through the deepest betrayals, they aren't being punished. No, they're being prepared for something bigger, something greater, something that can't be handled by just anyone. But people don't see it that way. Oh no, they think if things aren't going their way, if life isn't playing nice, then something must be wrong. They start questioning everything. Why me? Why now? What did I do to deserve this? But let's flip the script for a second. What if all that pain, all that struggle, all that heartbreak, it wasn't a setback? What if it was a test? What if it was the only way to strip away everything weak, everything fake, everything that's holding you back? What if the very thing you're trying to escape is the thing that's going to make you unstoppable? That's the punchline no one wants to hear. People want comfort. They want guarantees. They want to know that if they keep moving, there's a prize waiting for them at the end. But what they don't realize is that the journey, the suffering, the endurance, the refusal to break is what makes them worthy of that prize in the first place. It's funny, isn't it? The way people beg for strength, for wisdom, for greatness, and then cry the moment they're given the challenges that will build those very things. They don't want the struggle, just the reward. They want the crown, but not the weight of it. They want the glory, but not the scars. And that's why so few actually make it. Because when the fire comes, when the storm hits, most people run. They run back to what's safe, what's familiar, what doesn't make them bleed. But the ones who don't, the ones who stand in the fire, who let the storm do its worst and still refuse to back down, those are the ones who become something more. Because real power isn't handed out like candy. It's not given to the ones who beg for it, or wish for it, or wait for it to fall into their laps. It's given to the ones who earn it, the ones who prove they can handle the cost. And oh, there's always a cost. Nothing great comes without a price. That's the part people don't want to accept. They want to believe they can skip the suffering, avoid the pain, take a shortcut to the top. But that's not how this works. That's not how anything works. So the real question isn't whether life is being unfair to you. The real question is, what are you willing to endure? What are you willing to sacrifice, to survive, to push through in order to become what you were meant to be? Because the ones who go all the way, the ones who refuse to quit, no matter how brutal it gets, you ever notice how people love to play the victim? Oh, they'll tell you all about how unfair life is, how they've been wronged, how the world owes them something for all their suffering. It's a funny little game they play, convincing themselves that their struggles are a curse instead of a gift. But the joke is on them, because the ones who really win, they don't sit around crying about the pain. No. They use it. They let it shape them, sharpen them, turn them into something unbreakable. You see, life isn't about what happens to you. It's about what happens because of you. And that's the part most people don't want to hear. They want to believe that everything is out of their hands, that they're just unlucky, that the universe is picking on them. It's easier that way. No responsibility, no pressure, just a sad little story to tell themselves while they waste away in mediocrity. But here's the truth. Suffering isn't a punishment. It's an invitation to rise, to transform, to become something more than the small, weak thing you used to be. But most people, they ignore it. They reject it. They'd rather stay broken than go through the pain of becoming whole. Because that kind of change, that kind of power, it's terrifying. People are funny like that. They beg for strength, but the second life gives them a chance to build it. They run, they ask for wisdom, but when the lessons come wrapped in pain, they want a refund. They don't want to earn what they're asking for. They just want it handed to them. But that's not how the world works. No one gets to the top without scars. No one becomes unstoppable without first being broken. And the ones who get that, the ones who understand that the fire isn't there to destroy them, but to forge them, they're the ones who walk out of the flames laughing, because they've finally figured it out. The world doesn't break you because it hates you. It breaks you because it needs you to be stronger. And the sooner you stop fighting it, the sooner you start using it. You see, people are obsessed with comfort. They want everything to be easy, painless, effortless. But comfort is a slow poison, keeps you weak, keeps you small, keeps you trapped in the same miserable cycle day after day, year after year. And all the while you tell yourself it's fine, that this is just how life is, that you should be grateful for what little peace you have. But deep down you know you were meant for more. So why don't you take it? Why don't you step into the fire and let it turn you into something greater? Because the truth is, the ones who win in this world, they aren't the ones who complain the loudest. They aren't the ones who sit around waiting for a miracle. They are the ones who decide that no matter how much it hurts, no matter how much it costs, they will not be defeated. And that's the punchline, isn't it? The difference between the ones who make it and the ones who don't. It's not luck, it's not talent, it's not fate. It's the simple, brutal truth that some people refuse to quit. Some people refuse to break. Some people take every bit of pain, every ounce of suffering, every betrayal, every loss, and they build something out of it. A new version of themselves. One that doesn't just survive the fire, but learns how to control it. Here's something they don't tell you. Life's not fair. Oh, you've heard that before, haven't you? Maybe from a tired old man shaking his head, muttering about how things used to be. Maybe from a teacher, a boss, someone who got tired of your complaints and wanted you to shut up. But see, they say it like it's a bad thing, like life's unfairness is some cruel accident. It's unfair on purpose. People spend their whole lives looking for balance, for justice, for some kind of universal scoreboard that keeps track of who's been good, who's been bad, and who deserves a nice, happy ending. But here's the secret. They're playing a game that doesn't even exist. There is no scoreboard. There are no rules. Some people start with everything, some start with nothing, and most of them never figure out that none of it matters. Because life doesn't care about fairness. Life doesn't care about right and wrong. Life only cares about who plays the game best. And, here's the best part, most people refuse to play at all. They stand on the sidelines, whining about how they should have had a better hand, how they deserve more, how the world has cheated them. They wait for someone, something to come along and fix it, to make things fair. But the ones who win, they're the ones who stop waiting, the ones who stop crying about fairness and start using it. Because unfairness, oh, that's a weapon. It's the best weapon there is. People think it's a weakness, that it makes them powerless. But the ones who really get it, they see the truth. If life's already unfair, then you're free. Free to do whatever it takes. Free to stop playing by rules that don't exist. Free to let go of the idea that you deserve something just because you worked hard or because you're a good person. And that's the part that gets people all worked up. Oh, they don't like hearing that. They want to believe that if they just keep being patient, keep suffering, keep smiling through the pain, something, God, karma, the universe, something will come along and reward them. But what if I told you there's no prize at the end? No reward for being the nicest, for being the most patient, for taking the most pain without ever fighting back? What if the only thing waiting for you at the finish line is more of what you allowed? The world doesn't owe you kindness. It doesn't owe you respect. It doesn't owe you success. And the moment you really understand that, the moment you stop expecting things to be fair, to be easy, to be right, that's when things get fun. That's when you stop wasting time looking for justice and start making power. That's when you stop asking for permission and start taking what you came for. But see, most people won't do it. They'll nod along, pretend they understand, but when the moment comes, when it's time to step up, to stop complaining, to take control, they'll freeze. They'll find some excuse, some reason to stay small, stay weak, stay exactly where they are. Because the truth is, most people like being powerless. Oh, they'll never admit it. They'll say they want change, say they want to win, say they want something more, but what they really want, they want someone else to do it for them. Someone to come along, take all the risk, take all the pain, and then hand them the rewards. But that's not how this works. That's not how it ever works. The ones who win, the ones who make it, they're the ones who get their hands dirty. The ones who don't wait, don't ask, don't stop. The ones who look at an unfair world and laugh, because they know that means anything is possible. They know that the rules aren't real, that the limits don't exist, that the ones who really want it will always find a way, and the ones who don't, they'll keep waiting, keep complaining, keep telling themselves that someday, somehow, life will finally be fair.